joy, enthusiasm, creativity. And creativity is life force energy. And when you are focused on joy, presence, acceptance, and enthusiasm, there is no way it won't move through you. It's just not possible. It will come through you when you are living in that joyful state.
Deepshikha Sairam is a spiritual mentor and self-worth coach for high-achieving women entrepreneurs, helping them go from restless and chaos to serenity and calm. She uses a delicious mix of spiritual and energy work to help them match their inner state to their outer reality while guiding them back to their true nature. She has been featured in Entrepreneur, Tiny Buddha, Elephant Journal, Self Magazine, and the award-winning Marie TV by Marie Folio. And when not cooped up in her New Jersey suburban home, you can find this mama of two boys with her nose in a psychological thriller or watching reruns of Game of Thrones like her life depended on it. Here she is, and welcome to the show, Dee.
May, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
I am so excited to be here.
Me too. I'm so thrilled that you're here. You are one amazing woman. And I'm excited that you are here today to talk to our creative listeners and audience, because I think you have that level of energy that we can all use in our daily lives, as creatives. But before we dive into a very interesting topic that we decided to talk about today, I'd like to give you some time so that you can introduce yourself to our listeners so they know who you are too and how can you be of help to them.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity, May. So my name is Deepshikha Sairam. I live in New Jersey, USA, and I have my own company called deepshikhasairam.com. And I was thinking about it because this morning, I knew we had the podcast interview, and usually this is the first question people ask, like, how did you get started? Introduce yourself. And I was like, I don't know how to introduce myself, anymore, because the last couple of years, as anyone who's listening, the world has gone through so many changes, and we individuals have also gone through so many changes in business, right? As you and I were just discussing before we hit record. So, my identity self is that I am a business owner. I am a spiritual mentor. I started my business. I was a stay-at-home mom before. I had no business experience. I wasn't working in corporate, but I had this huge knowing, which I feel all creatives have. Like, I always knew in my soul that I am not just put on this earth to do laundry and do dishes, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I am not here to just pass my day by day, morning till night, doing those chores. And there was this creativity. There was this life source energy that was just waiting to come out of me. And it took me many years and my two kids to really teach me that if I want to be a great mom, a great spouse, a great daughter, a great friend, then I need to have my own identity as well. I cannot be called my kids' moms or my husband's wife. That's not my identity. I need to have my own identity. So I started my business. I started my business as a social media manager. Then I, slowly shifted into more of business mentorship. And this last year, what it has shown me, May, is that the mistake that I did, and we'll talk about this, and it's all fine. It's a mistake. I wouldn't really call it a mistake, but I'll call it like a life lesson. Is that while I started my business, wanting to create my identity, I really attached my identity with my business, right? So I created my business as my identity. So I said, okay, this is my identity, and my identity is defined by how much money do I make, how many followers do I have, and how much popularity do I gain. And this whole year, May, has really shown me that even though my identity self says that I am a business owner, I'm a CEO, I'm this rock star woman who's helped not millions, but thousands of women, but my real self, who am I? And I think we all come to that question at some point of time, is who am I? So my identity self is that I'm a businesswoman. I've recently pivoted into really talking more about spirituality and how to bring that into our life so that we can stop identifying with those markers of, ego, right? Money and things, cars, houses, and all of that. But who am I? I am Deepshikha. I am this I feel like amazing human being who wants to help other people realize that they are so much more than their car, their homes, the money in their bank account. And I think that's what really we are here to do. I don't know. I feel like I went on a ramble over there, but that's what my introduction is.
Yeah. And I think it goes well with the topic that we have today, which is abundance, right? Because if we want to give something and be be better person for our family, be better wife, be a better mom, I think we also need to have that self-abundance inside of us so that we can give more. Because if we have nothing in here, we have nothing to give. And I felt the same way when I gave birth to my son, because I didn't know actually that it was, I just thought it was depression, but probably it was postpartum depression. I didn't know. I wasn't clinically diagnosed, but it was a sad, sad state that I was in before. And I am having ill thoughts during that time. And then I realized that is because I'm no longer myself. I can't do anything creatively. And I was a scrapbook designer and I cannot do anything creatively. So I felt like I'm missing something. I'm missing myself. And by not doing something that is for me, I am losing my identity. I'm losing myself, which you exactly mentioned. So I think that is also that self-abundance that we need so that we can truly be better persons for our family, for everybody, and for all, for everyone around us, clients included.
For sure. I think you nailed it. And while you're talking, I'm like, yeah, she's exactly right. Because what we usually do as business owners, as creatives, is that we are looking for that identity. We're looking for that creativity to flow through us. However, we just take, for example, from a mother identity to a business owner identity, right? And somewhere there, our creativity again gets lost, because we can go on and on and on just purely on will and hard work and hustle. But then we all reach a point where we're like, okay, nothing is happening in our life and I feel so unfulfilled. And now what? Now what? Who am I? Like, what is my real identity? So I think you absolutely nailed it.
Yeah. And because mostly as creatives, we have also lost our identity for a long, 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 long time by accepting what people have, inundated us being
Absolutely.
the starving artist. And that is also one of the reasons why most creatives don't feel the need to be abundant. Like they're satisfied with what they're making, because to them it feels like, oh, I just need to live off the starving artist mentality and I'm going to be okay because that is what we are. But actually we're not. We have more to give.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is exactly what we want to talk about today, right? How to have that abundant mentality. And, when you presented this opportunity to me, which I'm so grateful for, me, that, how we can help artists have a more abundant mentality, I immediately went back to the question, why do creatives have a lack mentality or have a non-abundant mentality? And first of all, I want to mention that everyone is a creative. I have not met even a single human being in my life who isn't a creative at heart.
That is true.
And also every successful person, whether they are a business owner, whether they whether they are working in a bank or a corporate or whatever, I have seen every person has some sort of a creative habit. They might be nurturing that or not. That's a different question. But they all do, right? And our creative habits also keep changing from time to time, but we are all creatives at heart. And I do feel that, there are two things that keep creatives from having a lack mentality. Should we just go right into it, May?
Go, dive in it.
Awesome. All right. And I think the first one is our environment. So, I think your audience your listeners will believe that our thoughts create our reality, right? And what creates our thoughts is our environment. So we hear something or we experience something in our environment. we take it as a thought that becomes a belief, and that becomes our reality. So we've all heard that creatives starve, creatives always struggle. And we've also seen that probably in the environment. There are lots of movies that are made on artists who are struggling, who are homeless, right? And we start believing that, we start internalizing that, and that becomes our reality. So basically, when you believe in a thought for a longer period of duration, then that thought becomes your personality, right? I'm a creative, I will always struggle, right? It doesn't become something that, oh, some creatives struggle, but there are also abundant creatives. It becomes our personality. And our personality always results in our personal reality, right? So whatever your personality is, it'll always lead to your personal reality. And we as humans, we have this tendency to look at evidence to match our thoughts. So it's not false that there are creatives who struggle, but also the truth is that there are lots and lots of creatives who are very successful, right? But as humans, we look for evidence to support the thoughts that we've learned from our environment. But if we were truly abundant, we could also look at so many other creatives through the periods of time, starting from Shakespeare, Leonardo da Vinci, to, Taylor Swift, Britney Spears, to, so many other creatives today who are so abundant, so successful. Is that making sense?
Yeah, I think that is true. And I think, there's something related to that. It is a story that our good friend Kisma has once told me, because I shared with her, Kisma, right?
Yeah,
so,
of course.
I told her, you know what? I've always told myself that I'm so good at making money. I'm good at it, but I'm terrible at keeping it. And I have always acted up on it. So, that kind of created the feast and famine cycle into our life. And I wanted to change that, because I don't want to be, I don't want to have that fear, the feeling of, fear. But it also somehow helps me get the work done. But I don't want that constant fear of losing everything that I've worked so hard for.
Yeah.
Just because I have been telling myself that I am good at making money, but I always have the but. And now Kisma has told me to refrain from using the but, so I'm no longer allowed to use the word but.
Yeah.
So she said, you have to change the story that you are telling yourself. So from now on, you've got to tell yourself, I am good at making money and I'm good at keeping and investing it.
Exactly.
So that's the kind of thing that I'm thinking these days, that I'm telling myself and I'm telling everybody. And I want to share it with everybody who's listening right now, in case you're also doing that same thing to yourself and telling yourself that it is impossible to make money. That is just the story that you keep on repeating and repeating over and over until it becomes your reality.
Yeah, because you become it, right? So, I always give this example that a lot of people say they go through maybe some incident in their high school. In fact, I have a friend who was sharing with me that when she was in 5th grade, she was kicked out of the cool girl club. And, a lot of people branded her in her school as a loser, right? So she heard that, she heard that in her environment. She experienced that in her environment, that she was a loser. She internalized it and immediately created that thought. That thought created into belief, right? So I'm hearing I'm a loser, I'm a loser, I'm a loser, I'm a loser. She kept on hearing that and she internalized it. And then it became, I am a loser. Actually, it started from I feel like a loser. They kicked me out. I feel like a loser. I feel like a loser. I feel like a loser. I am a loser. Now that became her personality, right? It was just an event that happened, but that became a personality. Till she said to her, no longer, I'm not going to believe in this thought anymore, which we're going to talk about in a little bit as well. So that is one thing that our environment has taught us, that creatives always struggle. Now it's up to you to question that. Is that so? Like, that's my favorite sentence to say when a thought comes up. Is that so? is it true? Is it really true that creatives always struggle? Because fact is, you wouldn't find that evidence, right? And the second thing is the environment of every individual person, right? And we all, like, whether you're a creative or if you're not, we all have those incidents. Like I shared the fifth grade, I've had incidents like that in my life, which gives us these thoughts of, I'm not good enough. I am good at making money, but I'm not good at keeping it. Or I'm not a creative. I'm not an artist. I have a friend who's amazing, but she was always told that she's not an artist. She's not an artist. And she's 42 years old, and she's just started taking art lessons again just a couple of months ago. And she loves art, but that's a story she heard. So I'm not really good at art. That's what she created. So that's one thing, that, our environment creates our personal beliefs, and that creates our personality, and that creates our personal reality. The second thing is, which I absolutely love talking about these days, is ego, right? Our ego, and we all have ego, and I don't really mean that egoistic people and non-egoistic people. All of us are inbuilt with ego, and ego isn't good or bad. It's just unconscious. It has a purpose to play. But ego basically, if you define ego, it really identifies itself with identification and separation. And what I mean by that is, an ego tends to equate having to being. If I have a house, I am rich. If I have more money, I am more successful. Right? So it identifies with things which are outer, right? It's never satisfied. It always wants more. Ego always wants more. So whether you are a 6-figure entrepreneur, 7-figure, you will never be satisfied. You will always keep wanting more. But the other part of ego is that it also identifies itself with separation, right? And like if you pull the layers of ego deep down, it wants more, because it feels like it doesn't have enough. It feels like it doesn't have enough because it doesn't feel enough. And we all feel that. Like, we all feel we are not good enough. So if we feel like we're not good enough, then how can we feel that we deserve abundance?
That is true. Oh my God, I love that. I love that. I think that is, you know what? It is rare that I share stories about my kids, but as you were talking, I have been thinking about my daughter. So I have twin daughters,
Oh, I didn't know that, actually.
Yeah, they are twins. But here's the thing. So one, they have always been, I don't know if it was a good, they have always been watching cartoons when they were children. And they have played the characters in that cartoon. Mm-hmm. And then they have grown into being those characters. So the one becomes the bully of the younger sister, and the other one is playing the bullied. So up until now, we are working on how can we make this work. Like, how my husband and I are going nuts. Like, how can we shake off this mentality so that it can be out of their system? And although we have kept on telling her, you should be changing the way you're telling yourself, the way you're talking to each other, because you're no longer 6.
Right.
They're 16. They're 16, for Pete's sake. And yes, they are still acting up on the things that they have watched when they were children. And that is the thing. It's just 10 years. But we are still paying for that, paying the price of allowing them to watch those videos, because they were always wearing earphones. We didn't thought that they were listening to some things that are no longer healthy for them. Yeah. And now we're paying the price. So we are working on how can we take these off of their system. And now that they're teens, that is when we are watching them super closely. The doors should be open so we can see what they're watching and all that. And that is because I don't want them to grow up into developing these thoughts. Especially the younger one that, oh, it's okay if people don't like me, it's okay. And if people think I'm not good enough, maybe I deserve it. That kind of thing is the thing that I wanted to shake off.
Yeah.
and removed from her system. And
Yeah. And you're doing exactly the right thing. And here's the thing, May. So you mentioned that they watched it for 10 years. And imagine us, we are adults. Like we are 35, 40, 45. We have lived with those thoughts for those many years. Those thoughts have actually become addictions. I catch those once every while, especially when I'm about to do something great, especially when I'm about to do something
always, right?
like calls my like soul. I sense that the thought will creep up back because our body is literally addicted to those, those chemicals. It's addicted to, that evidence that, oh, creative struggle. So what's the point? Maybe I shouldn't even ask for more money, or maybe I should trade my, painting for, barter it for more exposure, or maybe I should not raise my prices, or maybe I should give a discount. What's the point? And, that in turn makes us feel, oh, because I'm not good enough, so I shouldn't do that. And the body's like, yes, I got it. Like I finally got that chemical, because the body doesn't want to change, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, if you guys are interested, then I love Dr. Joe Dispenza's work. He has done a lot of work on neuroscience, neuroplasticity, and I'm not just pulling this out of my BUTT, but, there's a lot of evidence, there's a lot of research, there's a lot of scientific experiments that have been done to prove all this that I'm definitely talking about.
Yeah. So I don't know, but if we have been living on it and these girls have been on it for 10 years, so definitely there's a lot of stuff that we have absorbed over those years, and that affected us from having that mindset of lack all the time. Like, I am not good enough. But how do we, do you have things or tips and advice for many creatives as to how they can take it off of their system and be able to live an abundant life and be able to have this ability to receive more, especially because it's always one of the problems with when it comes to, creatives. They're undercharging and they're bartering their work for exposure. A lot of us, and I am not discounting exposure. There's a lot of things that can give us exposure in return, and they're still good. It's just that when you keep on doing it over and over and over, you're not going to attract the clients that you want.
Exactly.
So, and you are going to live off of exposure? I don't think so, right?
Right. Exactly. And, discounting and bartering, all those things are good and they all have their time and place. But you have to charge for your work. How, exposure is not going to pay your bills.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
Well, in the olden period, maybe yes, because that was the only way we used to convert. That was the only way we used to, trade things. So, of course, what do we do about it? That's the real question. What do we do? What do we do? Well, how do we get out of this lack mentality? So there are 4 things that I want to share with you today. And then, of course, we can, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them as well. The first thing is to understand that, all this is coming from your environment, your thoughts create a reality, and your ego. And the ego, really identifies itself with identification, with having more. Why? Because in the deepest of its core, it does not think that it's good enough. So for the first thing is awareness, right? And you already mentioned that you finally had the awareness that I say that I'm good at making money, and I do make good money, but I'm not good at keeping it, or I'm not good at investing. So you identified that, that's the problem. That's where I should be changing. And you had that awareness. And it's like, people always think there might be some magic formula, or there might be some this meditation, or maybe I can do a Reiki healing or that. And all of that is good. All of that is good. Do it. Everything. I do everything as well. However, the place from taking you from, I'm always struggling, I'll have a lack, I'm never going to make money, is simply the first step is awareness. That you, instead of identifying yourself with that thought, of letting it become you create a separation, and you now become the awareness, watching that thought. You become the watcher.
I love that.
Yeah, when the thought comes, you're like, interesting. and like not labeling it as good or bad, or oh my gosh, there you see, again I thought that I'm the worst person on this world, again I thought that, like not that. Because when you're doing that, you're not being a watcher. You're again identifying yourself with another thought. Maybe it's not the same thought, but you're identifying yourself with the other thought. So it's like you're not helping over there. So you kind of become aware. And this comes with practice. The more you do it, the better you become at it. And, the more you do it, finally you come to a place where you're like, oh yeah, I watch it. There it goes again. And sometimes it helps giving it like a comical name. Like I always say, yeah, there she goes again. Like
Yeah.
again with her crazy thought on this crazy person, talking about these crazy things. Yeah, I got it. I see it. I watch it. And that's it. You create that separation from your thoughts. So you stop identifying yourself with it. One of the things that I say when, those thoughts come to me, because it comes to everybody. Don't think that it doesn't come to successful people. They're just better at awareness than maybe you are.
Yeah.
Right. One of the things that I say is that I am not engaging in this conversation right now. Right. I'm not engaging.
Yeah.
And a trick that has really helped me is, and this is really the holy grail, is coming from identification with that thought to awareness with presence. Right. So if I start following the trail of thought, if I, like, let's say my thought is I'm not good enough, I'm unworthy of receiving more money. And if I start following it, I will start thinking of evidence when it happened, maybe last week when a client said no, maybe 2 years back, 5 years back, 10 years. So and what happens when I'm going down that path? What am I doing? I'm going back in the past, right? I'm going back in the past. Or the opposite of that is I start thinking about, yeah, I'm not good enough. I'm never going to make money and I'm going to live on the streets. I'll be homeless and my kids will be sent to foster care. And now what I'm doing, I'm living in the future, right? I'm living in the future. I'm living in the past, but I'm not in the present moment. So one of the things that is, and again, this is all proven, I'm not pulling it out of my ass. You bring awareness back to the present moment. And the best way to do that is by just taking a breath. Just 3 breaths in and really focusing on that. Something that I also do is I just put my feet on the ground and I just start tracking every feeling in my body from my feet to the top of my head, while paying attention to what the noise is, just bringing myself back to the present moment. Because when I'm in the present moment, I'm not in the past. So I'm not believing those thoughts. I'm not believing in my environment. And when I'm also not in the future, and there's nothing wrong in imagining future as, bright and abundant and successful, but I'm not in the worry of the future as well. I'm in the present moment. And the more you do it, the better you become at being the watcher. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. And I love it. I think that's one of the problems that I have, worrying about the future. I always do.
Yeah.
I always do. Especially having a...
Yeah.
Yeah, because I have a child with special needs. I always think about that. What is going to happen in the future? What is going to be his life in the future?
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? I always, when I catch myself doing that, what I do is usually, instead of just breathing, I have snap out of it. And I'm going to clap like twice like that. Snap out of it. You've got to get out of that, cycle, because it is a cycle. I don't know. It's called the cycle of grief when I gave birth to him and I was all in that, limbo. But I didn't realize that it can creep up any moment up until now that he is already 9, turning 9 this month. But at least the awareness is there. You're ready to cut these energetic cords of oh my goodness, I am thinking about it again and I'm worrying about it. I've got to stop. Right. So really the key is catching and being aware that it's happening around you.
Yeah. And when we are worrying about the future, we think that we're actually living in the future, but we are actually living in the past, because we are identifying the future with all the past thoughts, all the past things that have happened to us, the experiences, the triggers, the events, and everything. So we think that we are worrying about the future, but actually we are in the past. And worry is, again, a very common, emotion or feeling that we all feel. But again, like you said, the thing is to snap back into the present moment, because the truth is, May, that worrying about it is not going to do anything right now.
Exactly. That is
Yeah.
so good. That is
Yeah.
so good.
And like, no matter what kind of a situation you are in, and people have been in dire situations, health, family, wealth, whatever, but worrying is not going to change one thing about your present situation. Right? So that's the first thing, awareness. Become the watcher of your thoughts. And the second thing that I love is surrender. And this is one thing that I've been obsessed with surrender for a few years, and this topic has baffled me. And I was like, I am going to find out what the real meaning of surrender is. And I feel like I finally kind of got it. Because I've read so many books on surrender, by the way. And, a lot of people like, just let it go. Just let it go. You have this desire, just let it go. Leave it to the universe, to the ethers, and let it manifest. I'm like, how? How the hell do you surrender? And I have come to realize, May, is that surrender is not something that you do. Surrender is something that happens to you. And I heard the story about someone I know who have horses. I'm going to use this example to explain surrender. And they basically they raise horses, and there's one particular horse in their in their group that doesn't really listen to commands. And I think they I don't know exactly, like they put their horses in the trade shows and also the Kentucky race and all of that. And I'm not really familiar with the verbiage, so forgive me if there's any horse enthusiasts there, but the story will make sense. There's one particular stallion actually in their barn who doesn't really listen, like who's always going to waver. They want him to stay on track. He's always going to waver. And so she was just talking to us about it, and she said that what they need to do is to get this, because they need to get the horse ready for the next race. So she has to get on the horse every day without fail, because if she doesn't, then whatever training that they are doing with it doesn't reinforce, and the horse forgets it. So she has to get on the horse every day and ride the horse. And the moment the horse starts going right, to hold the reins tight. She has to control it and bring it back on track. And then the horse obliges and then starts going on the left, and then she has to hold the rein tight again. And sooner or later, every day she does it. She says it takes about 20, 30 minutes of doing it every day. After 20, 30 minutes, the horse surrenders and listens to her commands and her language and her the commands, basically. And I think that's what surrender does. It's not something that you do. It's something that happens when you hold the reins.
Yeah.
So you decide that I am not going to let this thought become my reality anymore. And I'm going to get on it every day. And the moment it starts to waver, I'm going to pull the reins back. The moment it starts to waver, I'm going to pull the rein back. So then you don't really have to surrender, but ultimately your mind just surrenders.
So I think you have another one to share with us. So tell us about.
I have two, like one more, and then one little final note that I want to leave your audience with. Is that okay?
Yes, of course. We accept everything that you will give us today.
Awesome. Love that. Okay, so the three modalities, how you can always bring yourself back to that abundant mindset. And as creatives, you will love it. And when I was actually, I did not make this up. I read it in the book The New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. And when I was coming to this point when he talks about three modalities, I was like, oh my God, this is exciting part. Like he's gonna tell us three things that we need to do, get up every morning and three things. And when I read it, I was like, wow, this is so simple. And those three modalities are joy, presence, and enthusiasm. These three modalities always bring you back from identifying with that thought to that abundant mindset or any abundant thought that you want to have. The first one is joy. And every creative will attest to it that when you are in the throes of, I wouldn't use the word throw because it has a negative connotation, but when you are totally focused on creating that thing, what do you feel?
Yeah. Yeah.
We lose all sense of time. We lose all sense of like what's happening in the world. We are totally involved in creating, whether it's a music piece, whether it's an art, whether it's a painting, whether it's calligraphy, whatever it is. We are totally, totally in it. So find things to do things that bring you joy. Marie Kondo is absolutely right. That woman has something up her sleeve. Does that bring joy? Like that's one of my like core value in my business. That does that bring joy? If it doesn't bring joy, we are not going to do it. And the second one is presence, which also means acceptance, basically. So, of course, you're going to have to do things which don't really bring you joy, like laundry for me is joy. But in that, can I find acceptance? If I can't find joy, can I find acceptance? And saying that, okay, this doesn't bring me joy, but it is what it is, and I'm going to do it right now with presence. I'm going to be completely present with it. Mm-hmm. And then you can be creative and bring things that bring you joy while you're doing it. So for me, I love listening to books, or I love listening to Beyonce. So I would put her on Spotify, and then I'm jamming with folding my laundry, and then it's joyful for me now.
Yeah.
And the third one is enthusiasm. And I really want to talk a little bit about this is because I think enthusiasm, especially in the business industry, we feel, and in the personal development industry, we feel like we have to feel enthusiastic all the time. Like we always have to be like enthusiastic about everything. However, enthusiasm has a rhythm. It comes and it goes. It comes and it goes. It comes and it goes. Right? So when you are enthusiastic about, let's say you created your art, you have a goal that I'm going to do this launch, or I'm going to put this, gallery, or I'm going to sell my artwork, in San Francisco or anywhere. That's your goal. And the enthusiasm is what carries that goal into action. But when that goal is finished, that enthusiasm actually goes back. And then you're just left with that feeling of, all right, it's done. You know, when you've had a really good meal, not overfull, really good meal, like you feel satiated. That's what it is. So these are like kind of like three modalities that you can think about having. If you have a goal and if you're not feeling enthusiastic about it, and you're struggling, which indicates that that goal is actually attached to the ego and not to your conscious self.
Oh, yeah.
Right? When you have to struggle to get to the goal, oh my God, I have to write 10 emails. That means it's your ego playing. But you know how I've definitely felt that, that I've had launches where it doesn't feel like work. It feels like, and I remember during the summer, I put this membership together. I had the idea on Thursday night. And by Friday, 3:00, I had a sales page up. I had emails written, scheduled. And I sent 2 emails and I had 17 people in the membership by Monday. And it didn't feel like work. It felt so easy. And when the goal was complete, I was like satiated, happy, done. Back to my, back to being joyful, back to doing things which bring me joy. Has that happened to you, May, ever?
Yeah, yes, it always does. And you know what? I just had a launch recently that I told you about. And it was like, when I did it, as opposed to my previous launches, I have this feeling of, how can I be of service? Like, how can I be helpful? How can I make them successful? And all the time as I was doing that launch, that is everything that I'm thinking about. So to give that kind of service, that level of experience that they would never want to forget, and also deliver the results that they actually wanted, I thought of different things that I can offer inside the program, which I probably will have never thought about. And most of the things that I did there are things that I've never done before, like getting accountability calls, which we call GSD calls for get blank done calls.
Yeah.
So we do that so that we can have, hours in a week wherein we can just gather together and work on the stuff that we needed to get done. And the funny thing is we accomplished things. And the good thing about that, I have a client in there who said, I have been procrastinating putting my workshop together. And you know what? During the call, he sent an email and then got a location for the workshop and a date and a time. So that was really, really amazing. It was a product of actually doing the work. And that is because I think I was thinking of ways that I can be of service, I can be of help. And that has given me the enthusiasm that even though there's not hundreds of people in the program, because it is a course/coaching program, and usually I had hundreds of people in programs that I've previously launched. This one didn't have that, but I have that level of joy and the enthusiasm to actually get in there. Be present in the moment and do the work that doesn't actually feel like work. And it's like, oh, I have practiced this a long time ago. I have done all of the coaching. It's just that I have been coaching differently these days.
Yeah.
I have evolved as a creative, as an educator, and that has helped me deliver the kind of service that my clients would wanted, and actually appreciated. So whenever I hear them say, this feels like a great, great call. And after the call, they will do this 2 thumbs up sign. It's really, really an amazing feeling.
Yeah. And that is what I want to point out. The words that you're using, I feel joyful, I feel fulfilled. Isn't that life all about?
Yeah.
Right? There's so many people who make so much money, but they're not joyful. They're not fulfilled. So, and I'll come to the last point, which I really want you to go away with and really want you to remember. But when you follow the 3 modalities, you not only have abundance, but you also feel joyful, also feel fulfilled, because your ego is not identified with how can I have like thousands of people? How can I make like $1 million? Your ego is focused on your conscious self is focused on your inner purpose, joy, enthusiasm, creativity. And creativity is life force energy. And when you are focused on joy, presence, acceptance, and enthusiasm, there is no way it won't move through you. It's just not possible. It will come through you when you are living in that joyful state. And the last thing I want to really mention is, abundance. We started with how to have an abundant mindset. And I would love for you, we started with this thought, with this trigger, with this belief that the environment has given to us, which is creatives always struggle, creatives always strive, creatives are poor, artists are always poor. I want you to replace that with abundance is our birthright and the only way to live, right? It's our birthright. And look for evidence in that it's all around you. Wherever you are right now, I need you to stop for a second. If you're walking, if you're driving, don't stop, but just for a second, look around you in nature. Nature will tell you everything that you need to know about abundance. I recently spent 10 days in paradise, Turks and Caicos in the Caribbean. It was beautiful.
I saw your stories.
It was beautiful. And everywhere I looked, there was abundance.
Yeah.
Everywhere
amazing.
I looked. And you don't have to focus on anything else but that. So when you change your thought, when you change your awareness from creative struggle to abundance is my birthright, it's the only way. Whatever you believe in your creator is, whoever you believe in your creator is, has created you to live. And if the creator created flowers and sea and earth and mud and leaves and all of that in abundance, then why not your creativity? Why not your success? Why not your abundance?
Yeah, exactly. So it's time to be creative and feel abundant by actually practicing everything that Dee has taught us today. So if you feel like charging your rates a little bit higher, go for it. Because I started like that. I started charging high because the reason I had before is I don't want to take my time away from my kid who has special needs and do a work that's going to pay me a couple of $100.
Yeah.
I want them to pay me more if I'm going to trade that time off,
Yeah.
And I did. That is exactly what I did. And to other people, I look like I am overcharging, but I was not. It's just that my time, for me, the time that during that, period of time is, my time is precious.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want to trade that time away from my boy just to get a few hundred. It has to be more. And I have proven that it works. If you really, really wanted it, you can have it.
Yeah.
And the more that you do it, the more you attract that same type of client, the high paying ones.
Absolutely. Oh, I so totally agree. And, like you said, I always say to myself, like, my friend said it to me and I was like, I'm going to borrow this from her. I wasn't put on this earth to make chump change.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
I was put on this earth to live in full expression of myself and get paid for it. Here's the thing though. A lot of people who might be listening to it will be like, oh, this is all good in theory. And then they will forget about it and they'll not do anything about it. But there'll be one or two people who'll be like, oh, yes, I get it. I want to learn more about it. So you might pick up a book on it. You might come to my events where we talk about that. Or you might, listen to another podcast. And then you start thinking differently.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when the change happens. The change doesn't happen just by listening to a conversation. Change happens when you decide, I'm going to go on that, get on that horse every day, pull the reins, and I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop till I have changed my neurons to believe that abundance is my birthright.
Yeah, absolutely. Help your brain to develop that neural pathways that you need so that it can think like how you wanted it to think. Okay?
Yeah.
So, wow, this is an amazing topic today, Dee. I think we have talked about too much. And if there's anything else that we missed, I don't know if there's anything else that we missed, but I certainly had a good time. Now, tell us, before we let you go, where can everybody find you online?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. And I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. As you can see, I absolutely love talking about this. Well, you can find me on Instagram. Deepshikha Sairam is how I go by. You can check me out on my website, deepshikasairam.com. And I think the best way right now would be to definitely find me on Instagram. I also send bi-weekly newsletters. So if you want to get on my newsletter, get on my Instagram and you'll find various ways on how to get on my email list and my newsletters as well. That's where I share some more of my my own processes, my tools, things that I'm going through and things that can help you live in that abundant mindset as well.
Yep. And don't worry, if you don't catch up on all those links, I'll make sure to have them in the show notes, the episode show notes. So it's going to be at mydeleon.com /Deepshikha. And I am going to make sure that all of the links that she mentioned are there, including her link to the freebie or the email list that Dee is telling us today. Okay. And yeah, so if you like this episode, feel free to leave us a review, because every time you do, you help other creatives who want to pursue their own creative dreams. And as always, keep creating and stay confident. Until next time, this is Mai.